everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis. It's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley is here. Danny Mack is here. Matthew Rocchio. I'm Randy Carricker. Great to have you with us here on this Taco Tuesday morning on 101 ESPN.
Taco Tuesday. You also made me really hungry for nachos just a minute ago before the show started.
So when I used to come home late at night, when I was a nighttime person, in my younger days, my metabolism was a little bit higher, and I would stop at 7-Eleven and get like a big old plate of nachos and go home and watch a movie. And it probably wasn't that great for me. And then Matthew just pointed out the nachos have all four members of the food group. And if you put like a protein, if you have chicken nachos with some jalapenos, yes, that adds your protein and fruit and vegetable. I'm cheese, sour cream on top of chips. Those are my nachos.
Every Tuesday, are you Taco Tuesday at home?
Not every Tuesday, Dan, but I think that's an important thing as an American, is to at least involve yourself in Taco Tuesday at some level. Wish everybody a happy Taco Tuesday or partake. And partaking is wonderful.
Will this be part of your Super Bowl pre-party?
Nachos will be part of it. Yeah, I'm putting together that menu right now. Nachos, a little shrimp cocktail. Going to do some barbecue. I don't know if I'm going to do Kansas City barbecue because I like good barbecue. And then what?
Oh. Randy.
Oh, did I just say that out loud? I'm sorry. And then I'm not sure. I'm going to do something sourdough, but I don't know what yet for San Francisco. But yes, nachos are... Michelle turned me on back in the day to sheet pan nachos. Those are really good. So
those
I
are
do
good.
Those, yeah.
It's very easy to just put together. So nachos, I feel like wings are also a very important part of a Super Bowl party.
Okay, maybe the text line can help us out. 314-399-9646, 314-399.
Yo-ho!
Back in the day, they used to have these Tyson tequila lime wings that were delicious. I can't find them anymore. And if somebody could help me out by finding some tequila lime wings in the metro area, I would love to be able to find them.
Walmart.
Do they have them?
I think so. They've got just about every kind of wing that you want. I would assume, though, you will not partake in anything purchased from Walmart.
Dan, this is a moral dilemma. And I don't, this is certainly not an affront to all of the local Walmart employees. This is an affront to somebody who is on the board of Walmart. So, yeah, it's why should I start now? It's been 8 years.
So have you stepped into a Walmart since the Rams left?
No,
We're talking about Stan Kroenke and his family's affiliation with Walmart.
I'm not over it. I'm not. And Target's great. I'm a Target dude.
Have you ever asked Dick Vermeil if just what he thought about leaving St. Louis? I know he's coming up, but just in general, what he thought about the whole thing?
He was not happy about it.
Yeah.
And I think most of the players weren't happy about it because this is, as Ricky Prohl said, Ricky played in Chicago, Ricky played in Indy, Ricky played in Carolina, Ricky played in Arizona, and played everywhere in the league. And he's from New York. And he says this is the best football town that he has ever been around. So, and he's not, he's no different. Kurt still says that. The people that were, Isaac obviously feels that way. So, people that actually played the sport know how great of a town was, and they know that we got screwed over. By the way, later on in the show, we are talking to Dick Vermeil at 9:15, and John Kelly will join us at 8:15, plus Katie Wu at 8. Katie's on Wednesday, I think. Yeah,
she is on Wednesday.
Yeah, so Katie's on the show right now, but she's actually going to join us tomorrow. So here's what's going on in the world of sports, kids. Reportedly, the UFL Championship is going to be played here in St. Louis. Nothing official yet, but we're looking forward to hopefully the Battlehawks playing a home game for the UFL Championship.
We're very excited about it. Now, this is very interesting because Martin Kilcoyne put this out on X last night where he was talking about, formerly Twitter. Some people don't like that when you say that because we had people text him before saying, no, just say X, not formerly Twitter. But either way, he tweeted out last night in regards to a lot of people bringing up the turf. Now, you guys, did you go to a Battlehawks game last year? The turf was something that was very noticeable. Even when Mizzou came to town, it was something that was very, very noticeable. And supposedly the turf will not be ready in time for that championship. It will be ready later on in the summer.
Should not have agreed to do the championship unless you were going to have a representative turf.
You have to replace the turf.
Yeah.
It looks terrible on television. It's old. Guys could get hurt. We heard that with the Memphis-Missouri game, that it was like playing on concrete. You have to replace the turf.
And this is 5 months. You don't have... And by the way, you probably knew before yesterday that you were going to have the championship game. You can't get new turf in 5 months. Are you kidding me?
We probably need to educate those out in the audience about the UFL. So we've got 10 teams. 8 teams, because it's Birmingham, Arlington. The Defenders are in there: Houston, Memphis, St. Louis, Michigan, San Antonio. And
Michigan Panthers.
4 teams qualify for the playoffs, with the 2 top teams in each division qualifying for the conference championship games, and then the championship will be in St. Louis. It's I think it represents what's, that's known around the UFL, which is St. Louis is a very good football town.
No doubt.
You got so many kids playing in the NFL from this area.
Yep.
It's kind of an indictment on other people that didn't want to see football here in St. Louis. And it's representative of what football is like here in town.
So the UFL Championship to be here in St. Louis. Meanwhile, minor league football will have their championship this weekend in Vegas.
Oh, the baby one. Yeah, that Super Bowl or whatever that is.
They call it.
And
super.
just so this is Martin's tweet that he replied to somebody about asking about the turf. He said the Dome will be getting new turf installed in late summer of 2024. I think it's been scheduled that way for a while. So with the championship taking place in June, you could assume that it wouldn't be ready for this new season.
Let's expedite.
It's got to be.
You could, I would assume.
So the Battlehawks will not be playing on new turf.
No.
It's got to be better than what it looks like on television, and for the safety of the players.
Yeah. And it's a turf that has rarely been used for the last 8 years. And wasn't that great when the Rams were down the stretch here? Remember it burned one time?
Yes.
Yeah, it was not great.
It burned one time?
Yeah,
they were introing the players and it caught fire.
Yeah. They delayed the game.
Oh, wow.
A sign of things to come.
I don't like that. That's a bad omen, Dan.
Yes, it was. Sign of things to come.
So Super Bowl, is it LXVIII? Did I get it right there?
We need to stop the Roman numerals and just say Super Bowl 50 whatever. 58.
LVII.
Yeah.
LVIII? Okay, so 58. Super Bowl 58 will be heard here on 101 ESPN on Sunday evening. Brock Purdy is the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, and in his second year, man, this is huge. He's playing in the Super Bowl.
I mean, the bottom line is, like, life isn't about you. Like, that's what I believe, being a part of something bigger than yourself. You get wrapped up in getting all the glory and the fame and the status. I feel like that's a shallow life, and that can, fade away pretty quickly. So for me, it's, obviously, we're playing the Super Bowl. I'm very honored and thankful. I want to win a championship for this organization, but more than anything, I'm, trying to just serve my guys on this team well and love on them well, and the whole organization and everyone in my life. That's how I view it. So,
not about you.
How would you guys feel if he was a first or second round pick? Would we be talking about him being a game manager and just get the ball to the skilled players, and he's got a little bit of running ability? It'd be totally different, in my opinion.
Dan, he would be comped to Joe Burrow.
I agree. It's just he's Mr. Irrelevant, so people are like, how is this happening with this guy that's not as talented? No, he is.
Yeah.
He's that good.
He is. He's
From
very
Iowa
talented.
Snake.
Iowa Snake.
Yeah.
But I don't think that there's anything wrong with necessarily being a game manager. Isn't that essentially a big part of what you're supposed to do as a quarterback, is to be a good game manager?
Throw it to the guys,
Especially with the talent he's got.
Yeah, throw it to the guys that have the same color jersey as you do. If that's game manager, give me one.
Now, I would say this. If you were going to take offensive players from the San Francisco 49ers, he would not be my first pick. CMC would be my guy. I got to look at Trent Williams protecting the QB. You got Ayuk, you got Debo, and then maybe Purdy. So that's why I guess he gets looked at the way he does.
So you agree with Cam Newton? What do you say?
I don't necessarily agree with that. I just think that all 5 of these guys are extremely talented, and it's sometimes, at some point, you got to give this guy credit for making plays.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, the quarterback on the other side, Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs, he pays attention. He's a football fan and was asked about the rise of Brock Purdy.
I've seen Brock play since he was in college and knew how good he was. I watched him play. I watched Big 12 a lot, so I watched him play a ton. And he was a winner, and he made plays happen all through his college career. And usually when you can make it happen in college, no matter matter what your surroundings are. And to turn around a program like he did in Iowa State, you're going to make it happen when you get your opportunity in the NFL. So I wasn't very surprised whenever he's had the success that he's had, because he's a winner and he's a guy that goes out there and competes. And I've always said, more than a football player, you got to be someone that competes. And he's one of those guys.
I love Patrick Mahomes. I need Patrick Mahomes on Sesame Street talking to Elmo.
I don't know why you say that.
Dan, that's so good. You sounded exactly like him.
If that happens, I need Kermit to come in like late in the skit as well, just to see which one is actually talking.
I appreciate it, Rock. I mean, we're just trying to get the ball to some other guys and make this thing happen. Yeah.
Travis Kelce was also at Media Night, and obviously he was tuned in on Sunday when his girlfriend, Taylor Swift, won a couple of more Grammys. And Kelce was asked about Taylor Swift winning a couple of Grammys, including Album of the Year.
She's unbelievable. She's rewriting the history books herself. I told her I'll have to hold up my end of the bargain and come home with some hardware, too.
Good for Travis.
They're so cute.
Oh, that's the cutest thing ever.
Totes-ma-goats.
Yeah.
Adorbs, as we like to say here.
Danny?
I find him good for the game. I find her good for the game. Even Roger Goodell said that in his State of the Union address yesterday, that he thinks it's good. And he also, Travis Kelce, said they should put the camera on her. Now, I don't know if she agrees with that. I'm sure she gets a little sick of the attention, probably, with all the camera shots in the suite. And I wonder what the prop bet is for how many seconds or minutes that they put her on.
Or how many times.
Super Bowl, that's the other thing. How many times they cut to her.
Yeah, there's no doubt that she'll wind up being a prop bet by Sunday.
Well, will she be there is the big question.
She'll make it, yeah.
Absolutely.
She'll be able to make it by Saturday night. They need to find a parking spot, but I'm thinking that she can just land, hop off the plane, and then the plane can go to L.A. or whatever. Because they only have 475 plane parking spots in Vegas, and they're all accounted for already.
I bet they saved one for her.
Well, you'd think. Or just, put her on a highway.
So she's in Tokyo, is that correct?
Yes.
3 shows in Tokyo.
3 shows in Tokyo, and then makes it back to Vegas.
Yeah.
It can be done.
It can, yeah. Hopefully it does.
Get
Meanwhile,
the G5 and let it rip.
Yeah. As we know here in St. Louis, the NFL, they lack their money. And Roger Goodell did hold his State of the League address yesterday. I don't know why he just doesn't have a speech. As we mentioned during the show yesterday, there was a by invitation only event, and only the media that shows up on Monday goes, and most of the media, 90% of the media, shows up on Wednesday or later. But Roger Goodell was asked a great question. This is a guy, Goodell, who has said publicly that he wants league revenues to reach $25 billion a year. A lot of people were ticked off by having a playoff game on Peacock. So Goodell was asked about that.
How much money is too much money for the NFL to try to get out of the little man?
Well, this is developing platforms. Just to be clear, this is developing a platform that a lot of consumers are on. A lot of our fans are moving in that direction. They're not just getting an NFL game; they're getting, a value in the sense of $5.99. I think it was for a month of the service, and they could get it for $30, $29.99 for a year. That's entertainment. That's where people are going, right? They're looking for those opportunities to expand on the amount of content they can acquire through these platforms. That's ultimately good for the consumers, but it's important for us to be on those platforms because that's where consumers are, particularly the younger demographic.
The question, I believe, was how much money is too much money for the little guy? And I don't believe that question was answered.
No, he is really, really good at answering a question without exactly answering a question. Now, in the prior question, he was asked specifically more about Peacock. And with his answer to that, he said, we have to fish where the fish are. And then Tracy Wolfson followed up, and she asked about the possibility of a Super Bowl being streaming only in the future, and he said certainly not in my time. So that's at least a little bit encouraging if you're worried about the Super Bowl being only on a streaming platform. But when you also pair that with what he just said, it doesn't sound like that's out of the realm of possibilities.
So where are the fish? If you're not going to put a Super Bowl on Peacock or whatever streaming service, but you say we have to fish where the fish are for playoff games, so where are the fish? Okay, because won't you have as many fish available for or more for the Super Bowl if you stream it than anywhere else?
Don't you agree, though, in this realm, he is right. The younger audience is going to streaming. So you got to adapt with the times. I'm not saying you put the Super Bowl on it, you keep it linear, but you look at ways to make sure you keep the product there for the younger fans. You know, the 15 and 20-year-olds pretty soon are going to be 35, 40, and that's how they consume their products.
Right. That's not wrong at all. But all you have to do is be honest about it. You're in it for the bucks. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, everybody's in business. So just go for your dollars.
I thought it was more interesting about what he was saying about gambling. Gambling has become such a part of the NFL, and he was addressing that, talked about it a lot. He talked about how they punished 25 non-player employees for gambling policy violations. So what? Because the reality is there's going to be so many bets made on this game on Sunday. It'll be the most betted game, if that's a word, but they'll be playing bets all over the place, and not just in the United States. This is going to happen all over the world.
A couple of notes from college basketball. Number one, Kansas State last night.
Wildcat. Got it.
Overtime win over KU. Rock, chalk, Jayhawk.
Have you guys been to a game at Allen Fieldhouse?
No.
It's worth it.
Is it?
It's pretty neat.
Especially if K-State beats them.
Yeah, that's a tough loss for them.
And tomorrow night, SLU is in action against LaSalle. SLU against LaSalle. LaSalle, L-A-S-A-L-L-E. SLU against LaSalle.
So you're hoping for losses?
I'm hoping
for LaSalle.
I wish we were playing Winthrop or George Washington.
SLU win another game?
No.
I'm not sure they do with their schedule.
Here you go. LaSalle.
Really? You think the rest of the schedule?
Well, the one game I thought they could have won was over the weekend. That was the one.
Yeah, right.
Ken Palm agrees with you, by the way. The projections for Ken Palm is L's across the board.
LaSalle, and then an homage to St. Joseph's for the rest of the segment.
Wow.
At St. Joseph's. And then VCU at home at Duquesne. Then you've got George Washington at home. Then you've got the Spiders. Ooh, the Spiders of Richmond will be here. And then at Rhode Island. And then Dayton at home. Beat Dayton. Not this year. And then at St. Bonaventure.
Are you flying away right now?
Have you ever been to a St.
Joseph's?
The mascot
does it the entire game.
Whole game.
The whole game. That's a great arm workout.
I discovered this the last time they played. During the national anthem, he puts one wing over his heart and he keeps flapping the other wing, which is bananas to me.
You do realize only the people on YouTube can see what you're doing.
So here's what you need to do, kids. You need to join us on the Air Alliance Team Studio Cam, brought to you by the Air Alliance Team. Just go to youtube.com and type in 101 ESPN STL, and you can see me being the St. Joseph's Eagle today.
And do it the whole show.
The St. Joseph's Eagle would. I can't.
No. That would hurt your shoulders.
I haven't conditioned myself to it. It would kind of.
I bet that he's ripped by the end of it.
Oh, I would. And he does. You've got to audition for the job.
Yeah.
To be the St. Joseph's Eagle. So there you go. So now you know via radio. Coming up, Joe Buck thinks the Blues should sell. Do you agree? That's next time, 101 ESPN. Don't you want to have incredible, beautiful floors in your home? That's the first thing people notice when they walk in your house. And the best place to get beautiful floors is Ambassador Midwest Floor. I'm a big fan of what they do there. And I'm telling you, the first thing people notice when they come through your door is your floors. They take up most of the space in your home. And new floors are going to dramatically change the look of your home, seamlessly connecting every room with style. And especially if you have an open floor plan, it really is cool to have Ambassador Floor provide you with all of the great products and services that they offer. Since most people replace their floors every 7 to 10 years, do it right. Don't settle for cheap floors from the box store. You can go to Ambassador Midwest Floor, and they have 3 great locations. Find them at ambassadorfloor.com and browse the finest collection of Shaw floors and hardwood, carpet, luxury plank, and there's all kinds of things that are really important now. Floors that are pet-friendly and stain-proof with waterproof technology. Check out Ambassador Midwest Floor. They've got 3 locations. Find the one nearest you at ambassadorfloor.com. Love your floors and experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
Sell. I love Armstrong. Well, I mean, let's see where they are. But, I mean, is it realistic to think that if they buy and give away younger assets or draft picks that they're still going to have enough to win a cup? I just don't think a couple of deals here or there or one deal is going to make them a Stanley Cup winning contender. So keep building, keep getting better, getting younger. Hopefully Snuggerud comes along and he's phenomenal. They have pieces, but they have to get younger, in my opinion.
That is a big-time Blues fan and friend of the show, Joe Buck, yesterday here on 101 ESPN. And the question was, okay, when Doug Armstrong calls you near the deadline, what are you going to do? And Joe said sell. And the point is extremely well taken. Does anybody in the room believe that if the Blues make a move at the deadline to buy, that they would be a Stanley Cup contender?
No.
Yeah.
Second round at best.
Yeah, maybe you win a series, and maybe you make some money off of it, but you have some UFAs coming up. You've got Scandella. You've got Oscar Sundqvist, who's a really important part. I would love to have Sonny back for next year. You've got Blais, Kapanen, maybe Buchnevich, who signed through next year. But if you can get value for those guys, value in terms of more picks for future goodness or greatness, I would be on board with that. My question would be, aside from Bucci, and maybe Scandella, is there a player among that group that a contending team is going to say, okay, that's the piece of the puzzle that will get us over the top at the end?
Possibly you could argue Scandella and Kapanen. I think that they could be pieces that if a team is really desperate and they believe that they need somebody to slot in, that you could say either one of those guys. But if I'm a team and I say I need to make the playoffs, make a deeper run, I'm asking for Buchnevich.
Don't I owe it to my fans to try to get in? And you've talked about it a lot. Financially, it means something to the club.
Making the playoffs is a big deal for the Blues, and that's why I would be reticent if somebody called about Buchnevich, because I don't think the Blues, I think that right now, they have to hope to be a playoff team. I'm not even talking about winning a series. But I don't think they have a chance of being a playoff team. As many struggles as Buchnevich has endured this year, I don't think they can be a playoff team if they take Buchnevich off the roster and don't add something. I think they can be a playoff team without Marco Scandella.
Who wants these players?
That's the key. If you're one of the top 10 teams
all
in the
these
league,
names, who wants them?
The one guy, because the Blues one year, they went out, remember when they got Michael Delzato for defensive depth. I think Marco Scandella is a guy that for a team that is in the hunt, that thinks it can win the Stanley Cup, I think he could be a 6 or a 7 for that team.
He's playing very well.
Yeah, he is. And I wouldn't get rid of him, but fourth line energy, we know that Oscar Sundqvist can win a Stanley Cup.
See, that's my guy.
Yeah.
That'd be somebody I think that teams would definitely one to get just because of his grit.
But as we know, those guys are hard to find too, especially now. For whatever reason, it's hard to find that gritty, hardworking, fourth line energy guy. And if I had the choice, if I'm the Blues and I get a call about Oscar Sundqvist, I'm more inclined to call his agent and say, hey, we'd like to keep you around, give you a 2-year deal. I don't want to make that mistake again. I know that he's had an injury history, but I don't want to make that mistake of giving up Oscar Sundqvist again. I like him too much.
I do. I like Oscar Sundqvist as well, but at the same time, if you're trying to decipher if you're buyers or sellers right now, what do you do in this situation? Because I do believe that they could, like you said, Dan, make it into the first round, make it maybe past the first round. But I'm looking at the reason why is because of goaltending is the biggest thing.
Well, Bennington has got the 5th most saves right now in the NHL. So if you look at the analytics of this team, they are not pretty. They're not very good. No. However, in January, they go 8-4-1. And their power play was way better, 26%. I mean, there's some things that I look at to get them into the playoffs. And I do think the final stretch of games, you didn't make it last year. You give fans something to look forward to for next year. And if you're trading some of these players, I mean, what round of picks are you really, truly going to get?
Yeah, you're looking at, well, first of all, let's be realistic and fair here. They got Kapanen on waivers last year. Kapanen's not going to get you any value at all, right? Sammy Blais, he can't even make your lineup, no. and you've been a bad team for a lot of the years. So those two guys are out. So that leaves Buchnevich, Sundqvist, and Scandella. I want to keep Sundqvist, so that gives me to Scandella and Buchnevich. I've got to get a premium pick for Buchnevich. I still think he's not the best player on my team, but he's the most gifted player on my team. He has the potential to be the best player on my team. So I want a premium for him. So that leaves Scandella. So if I'm going to sell, because with Scandella, I've got Matt Kessel playing now. I've still got young defensemen that I think have a chance to ascend. And depending on the Perunovich injury, I'd like to see more of him. But and Tucker, the only real move I see for me is moving Scandella.
And you also have to balance the future as well with a lot of these decisions. Jimmy Snuggerud is right around the corner. Where will he be?
And here's another thing, because I think the Blues' third line should be their fourth line, not their fourth line, but I think that they have 2 fourth lines playing right now. Snuggerud has to come up. You need a top 9. You don't need a top 6 and a bottom 6. You need a top 9. And to me, Snuggerud somewhere next year fits into your top 9.
Do you want him to come up this year potentially and just get beat up and suffer through a bunch of losses and not have a chance to make a difference because some of the players that would be surrounding him aren't here?
No.
I mean, that's something to think about, too.
Right. And I think my preference would be to bring him up for that 11-game trial like Petro had. And if he plays more than 11 games, then he's got to stay. But if he plays 11 or fewer, then you can send him to the A.
Right.
Evaluate him next year at the beginning of the season.
Training camp would do that.
Yes.
And you can sign him and send him to the A when Minnesota's knocked out.
I just wonder what... I'd have to wonder what I possibly or truly could get for some of the players that are on this roster. It's not a deep roster, as we've talked about. As you mentioned, Randy, I mean, some of the guys on the third line would be fourth liners on other teams. Sundqvist would be the guy that I think would draw attention just because if you're a team that you expect to go deep in the playoffs, you need grit, and he'd give you that.
Yeah, and the other day on the Fast Lane, Doug Armstrong did say they'd probably be neutral, right, when asked about what the Blues would do at the deadline.
Probably neutral is where I would see it if we stay here now. We've added young assets. We have good young players. What we want to do is continue to build to that. The players will dictate a little bit on what we do, but I don't think that there's any one trade that's going to make us favorites. So let's say we get into the wild card spot as favorites against the number 1 seed in the Pacific or the number 1 seed in the Central. So you want to be as competitive as you can, but you want to be realistic in what you're doing. With that being said, you never know in the NHL what's going to happen and what trade might come up. It could be a couple of a younger prospect for somebody that's got some term, and you look at doing that too. So I'm not really sure exactly what's going to go on, but also we're not in the position we were, let's say, from 2012 to 2020, where we're using first-round picks for immediate success. That immediate success was hoping to get us a Stanley Cup.
And it's not now. By the way, I do think if there is an opportunity, and has been over the last half dozen years, the best opportunity for an 8-1 upset would be this year if Vancouver winds up winning. I think Vancouver is the most vulnerable number 1 seed in the last number of years. I thought Vegas was better. I thought Colorado was better. It's really hard to be, and I don't want to take anything away from Vancouver, but I don't really trust Vancouver either as a number 1 seed.
Especially how they played against the Blues.
Yeah, right. So,
I mean, that's maybe recency bias with that, too.
Yeah. That is a look at the Blues. And coming up next year on 101 ESPN, Super Bowl 58 will be heard here on 101 ESPN on Sunday. But if you're watching, how often will you see Taylor Swift? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN. Hey, I want to talk to you about selling your home. And if you need to sell your home but need time to find your next home, you need to get in touch with Gloria Liu. Maybe you're building new construction, or maybe the home that you really want is not going to be on the market or not be available for a while. What if I told you that you could sell your home and stay in it for up to 12 months while you found your next place? You can with Gloria Liu. This message is for home sellers, and if you need a reliable, experienced, and trusted agent, take it from me and get to know Gloria Liu with your home sold guaranteed realty. And her name is her promise and says it all. Your home sold guaranteed realty. She has solutions for every type of home seller. If you do need to stay in your home for a while, she can help you out. If you want a fast sale with no hassles, Gloria's got multiple cash offers available right now, and that's a great option to consider. No showings, no costly repairs, and you pick the closing date. You always get the highest cash offer to choose from in minutes with Gloria Liu. Her number is 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. There was a big deal in baseball as the Kansas City Royals signed Bobby Witt Jr. to a big 11-year deal with opt-outs in the last 3 years. A lot of player options also on the back end of that deal, but nonetheless a big $288 million deal for the Kansas City Royals. Coming up tomorrow, college basketball gets back in action for your local teams as the Billikens face off against LaSalle. It's a 5:30 p.m. tip-off, and Texas A&M faces off against Missouri. Missouri at home for that game as they look to try to grab their first SEC win of the year, currently sitting at 0-9. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find a road and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
The attention's there because the audience wants to see it. I mean, if people didn't want to see it, they wouldn't be showing it. I know that. So I think she's a world star. She's the quintessential artist right now in the world. Singer songwriter, immensely talented, an unbelievable role model for young women across the globe. So I think that the NFL would probably be foolish not to show her and show what be a role model for all the young girls out there.
That is Jason Kelce talking about Taylor Swift, who happens to be dating his brother Travis Kelce. Brooke, Dan, and Randy here, and we are talking about the whole Taylor Swift saga. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? And should the NFL television partners really show Taylor Swift as much as possible? Do you guys agree with that or not?
Well, from a business standpoint, according to Apex Sports Marketing, she has generated $331.5 million in brand value for the NFL. So I'm sure that the NFL owners are saying, yes, they should. She has brought an entire generation of fans to the NFL this year that they didn't have before. They are cultivating a fan base of young women that they didn't have before, and Jason Kelce was talking about that in those young girls, 12 to 17, that are watching football that weren't disposed to watching football before. And here's the most important thing. She is an empowering figure for young girls and young women. And if people have daughters, I would think that they would want their daughters to see somebody who looks like them, who's a fan in the stands, who you can relate to. I've run across on social media so many men who have found Taylor Swift to be a bonding agent because they both have become NFL fans, father, daughter. And I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but I think it's a wonderful thing that families, fathers, daughters are able to bond over the NFL, and it's because of Taylor Swift. I see no downside whatsoever.
Do you guys really think, though, that this keeps young girls watching the NFL beyond this year? If Taylor Swift is not on there, does it really matter?
My daughter's 26 and loves football. She loves football.
But she's an outlier maybe for some.
But I know a lot of women that are big football fans. And I think what you're doing, and it's what every sport needs to do, you're cultivating a young fan base of 15-year-olds that you hope will be there at 25. There's certainly a segment of that group that, because Taylor Swift introduced them to the NFL, is going to like the sport.
Why do people melt down over this?
I don't know.
They're just melting down over this.
Because I think that they see, kind of to your point, Dan, of if there's going to be a certain group of people who weren't interested in football in the NFL before, will they stick around anymore? And maybe that's what it is that you don't think that they will mesh together. And maybe that's what it is that people think like, okay, I don't want this whole music, like girly pop thing coming over and taking over my NFL.
Brooke, it's not just that. And I'm sure that you have gotten these missives, whether email or social media. There are old men out there that don't want girls talking about their sports, right? I don't want a woman talking about sports. She can't teach me anything. Hey, you've run into that, right? I see it.
Oh, yes.
So that's part of it, too. I don't want any women interfering with my sports. That is part of it. It's a really shallow troglodyte group out there that, for whatever reason, can't stand the idea, unless it's a cheerleader on the sideline, have a female talking about sports with them when there's a very strong likelihood, well, it's a certainty, an absolute certainty that women on ESPN know a whole hell of a lot more about sports. Brooke Grimsley knows a whole hell of a lot more about sports than you do.
And I understood that going into this profession. I understood that there would be some backlash for that. It's not my job to try to convince someone all of a sudden that they should believe women in sports. And I like, in general, that we are seeing more women in sports. Whether, of course, there's women playing sports, but now you have more women who are not just in those sideline roles, but in various different roles. You're seeing that continuing to happen. You see them in coaching jobs. Even in the NFL, you're seeing that grow. So I think there's a lot of positives with that. And I just thought of a funny story. And this happened a long time ago, very early on in my career. I was at MMJ in Arkansas, and I was shooting a baseball game. And there was a man that came up to me, and he said, "Hey, you should be on the dugout," because in Arkansas they have dugout cheerleaders. He said, "You should be on the dugout, not covering sports." And that was just one instance of things that I've heard throughout my career, but I understand that I'm very lucky and blessed to be able to do this. But it's part of the territory where you still have some people who want to say, no, this isn't for women. You shouldn't be in this.
Dan, you have teenage daughters. What's the Swift effect been like in your house?
I think if it's on, which it is on Sundays, and I say, hey, there's Taylor Swift, they might stop and watch. Are they going to stick around and watch a football game? They don't. Okay. So that's my question is, will they be able to get some 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old girl to say, you know what, I'm going to stick around and watch the football game, maybe because I can see Taylor Swift again. Like my girls, we went to Nashville to go see Taylor Swift. It was a big deal. So would they stick around and watch a football game? Probably not. But if they knew she was going to pop up on TV, they might.
And here's the way I would look at it if I were the NFL. If you have 100,000 12 to 17-year-old females that tune in to watch because Taylor Swift is there, and 1,000 of those 100,000 become hardcore NFL fans, you win. You've got 1,000 fans that you didn't have before.
It's also why during national sporting events, they shoot the crowd. There's Jack Nicholson. It's not just about Taylor Swift. It's because you want to see it.
Was the all-time greatest Cameron Diaz feeding popcorn to A-Rod?
Exactly. And they actually make a point on the NBA Finals to go around and show and they font them at the bottom with the logo. And there's Billy Joel. There's Jack Nicholson. There's X.
Well, and look at how many times Joe on Fox had a new show coming up. So during the World Series, there's the cast of the new show starting, November 20th or whatever on Fox.
Well, and it has generated a lot of conversations, even on podcasts that typically wouldn't talk about pop culture. You're seeing Pat McAfee talk about it. You're even hearing Bussin' with the Boys is one of my favorite podcasts out there with Taylor Wan and Will Compton, two former Titans players. And Taylor Wan has even fully gotten into this whole Taylor Swift thing, and he even got into a conspiracy theory about why Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are meant to be.
Hey, can I tell you something about Taylor Swift? You know what her favorite number is?
Nope.
Her favorite number is 13. You know what Super Bowl this is? Super Bowl 58. What's 5 plus 8? 13. If Taylor Swift makes this game, it'll be her 13th appearance at a Chiefs game. The date of this Super Bowl is 2/11. What's 2 plus 11?
13.
Now she has to be in Tokyo, like you said. Do you know what the time duration is from Tokyo to Las Vegas, Nevada? 13 hours. The 49ers. What's 4 plus 9, by the way?
13.
The 49ers
13.
Are what seed?
The 13th seed.
No, they're the 1 seed. They're the 1 seed. What are the Chiefs?
The 13th seed.
The 3 seed. What number is that? 13. And if you were to take 13 away from 100, what would you get? You would get 87. Now, you might think that's written in the stars. I've got the 49ers winning this game, and I've got them covering.
Now, I like how he bamboozled us at the end, but still, this is the reason why I like the Taylor Swift conversation. One, I'm not exactly a full-on Swiftie. I appreciate her music and her abilities and her talent, but I also enjoyed the conversations that this has really brought up around the NFL. I think it's a lot of fun. Taylor Wan breaking that down, that was hilarious.
What do you think it's around a Thanksgiving Day table as opposed to what you're going to get on Sunday? You know what I mean? Like your family's together. What is the conversation like from Thanksgiving dinner with your family to watching the Super Bowl and the attention given to one particular subject, which will be Taylor Swift?
Yeah, it changes the dynamic, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it does.
And now we've got more reasons. People. There's a lot of people that watch the Super Bowl only because of the commercials. Well, now there are people that are going to tune in to watch Taylor Swift, they're going to see the commercials too and see how much the NFL, the product, can compel them.
I agree. Yeah. I think it's a good thing. Yeah. I think it's a good thing for the NFL, and I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed all the conversation surrounding it, and I think that it's in game for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Do you guys believe that?
Yes.
So 314 says, I've been listening for 15 minutes, and it's been nothing but Taylor Swift. Yes. That's the problem. No, that's actually what people are talking about. Yeah. How many times are they going to show her? Do you like her? Should they show her? That's part of what this game is about, whether you like it or not.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's part of the fun of it, of the conversation of it.
And by the way, there were some women that went to one of the Chiefs playoff games, a really cold one. Taylor Swift gave them her scarf. Did you see she leaned out?
No, I didn't see that.
It's a little gift store called Collections by Joya, and they've developed a line of Taylor Swift-inspired gifts, and they're doing really well from a business standpoint. There's a vintage store in Kansas City that she bought a shirt from that is doing exceptionally well. She is fantastic for business. Let me give you one other quick anecdote, and it's an older story, but a woman in St. Louis, a runner, got hit by a car. This was 10 years ago, and they didn't think she was going to live, and now she's running marathons. But Taylor Swift visited her while she was unconscious in a hospital room in Charlotte and left her cardigan there as just a gift to and this woman has been inspired by it. Her family has been inspired by it, and she just does things off the radar that you don't think about. Apparently she's just a really exceptionally good person.
By all accounts, she's supposed to be wonderful.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes and does a ton for charity and things of that nature. She's a $1 billion international superstar. Of course, they're going to show her on the game.
Yeah. And Collections by Joya, by the way, in Webster Groves. Congratulations to Betsy Necrelli and Beth Vansel. They own and operate the jewelry store, and they had their little interaction with Swifty. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And got a scarf out of it.
Aww.
Coming up, get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Take it or leave it next on 101 ESPN. Hey, the Valley standings are wild right now. Indiana State leading the way, Drake and Bradley right behind. And as we get ready for Arch Madness, we're going to find out who the number one seed is. And Arch Madness back in St. Louis for a 30th consecutive year at Enterprise Center. And now is the time to get tickets at archmadness.com. It's March 7th through 10th, and an automatic bid to the big dance is on the line. And it's been a tight race all year long, and it's going to go down to the wire in the regular season. And then when the tournament starts, it's going to be amazing because it's always wild basketball. It's one of the great events on the St. Louis sports calendar. And not only do you get to see these great Valley teams, but you get to see great St. Louis area players like Nick Ellington from Cardinal Ritter, who plays for Murray State, and Kennard Davis Jr. from Vashon, who goes to SIU, and Luke Kasubke from Chaminade, who goes to Illinois State, and Donovan Clay from Alton, who's at Missouri State. Tickets on sale now. Great family fun pack with 4 single-session tickets, 4 large sodas, 4 regular popcorns, all for $100. It's a fantastic family event. It's Arch Madness starting March 7th. Get tickets now at archmadness.com.
Or leave it. Want to say something? Want to put it out there? If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back. Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
All right, your text in now, 314-399-9646, 314-399.
Yo-ho!
Take it or leave it.
Oh, no.
I'm sure we'll have more yo-hos coming up.
We will.
Yo, all right, I'll give it to you. Yo-ho.
Well done.
I thought you would do the Kermit version.
No.
No? Okay.
Guys, did you see that the 49ers who are practicing at UNLV think that the turf is too soft there? And they were actually considering flying back to Santa Clara to practice there this week. But they decided, no, okay, we'll practice on this turf. Take it or leave it. Before the game, the 49ers suffer a practice injury because of the turf at UNLV.
Ooh.
Apparently, they put the turf on top, the grass turf on top of artificial turf.
Brilliant.
So it's gotten very soft in how they, I guess, try to plant and make moves and all that good stuff. I'm going to leave it. I don't think anybody gets hurt because at this point, you're pretty much going through some walkthroughs. But you still have to cut. You know, some of these patterns that they're going to be running, you got to cut left, cut right. Hope everybody stays safe.
They are comparing the turf to MetLife Stadium, which was a disaster and caused 2 major injuries for the 49ers a couple of years ago. That's why they're really worried about it. But I think the league probably said, no, stay here. So that's what they're
really
doing.
Concerning.
They were actually considering going over to the Raiders facility and changing their schedule and practicing at the same place, the same venue that the Chiefs are practicing at.
Makes sense. I think every venue should be grass. As much as you have like MetLife Stadium, as much as you invest in these athletes, give them the best possible chance not to blow out an Achilles or hurt a knee.
But one of the problems you have in Vegas is water shortage.
Yep.
So it's hard to grow grass, and that's why I think Barry Odom and UNLV have the turf practice facility.
So take it or leave it, guys. On the Athletic Football Show, NFL insider Diana Rossini was asked about why Mike Vrabel hasn't landed a head coaching job. She said that one of the reasons why is that a GM at the Senior Bowl mentioned his physical build, that he's a very large human being and can be very intimidating to people in an organization that are going to be a part of these decisions. Take it or leave it, guys. There's a bigger reason why he's not landing a head coaching job, pun intended.
I'm going to leave. That's ridiculous. I don't care if he's 7'5" and 500 pounds. If he can coach, bring him in. He can win.
What about Dan Campbell? He's a very intimidating presence.
Yeah. Perfect
physical
example.
Presence.
Vrabel 6'4", 260. Campbell is 6'5", 265.
Seemed to work for him.
Yeah.
And when Vrabel was winning, it didn't bother anybody.
No, it didn't. No, I would think that. And by the way, I'm going to take it that there is a bigger reason. He's from the Belichick tree, and he wants power. And general managers and owners and scouts and people in the organization that have their little piece of turf, they don't want to give that up.
No, I take it more as that he's a very intimidating presence, definitely wants to do probably things his way, as you're mentioning, like Bill Belichick, and people don't want maybe a tyrant to come in and run things the way that they want. They want more of a collaboration. I think it's very interesting that the Titans kept saying they wanted a collaboration with their new head coach. I think it was clear that there was something going on behind the scenes there with him and the Titans.
And by the way, let's not leave out, because we always say, well, he's a Belichick disciple. He's also an Urban Meyer disciple. So there's a couple of really power-hungry guys that he worked for.
Take it or leave it. Caitlin Clark, as you guys and Randy mentioned,
great.
I have 2 daughters, so we may pay attention more to this than Taylor Swift. But Caitlin Clark from Iowa has scored 3,462 points, 66 away from the women's all-time record. So take it or leave it. We aren't paying enough attention to this record-setting season.
Ooh, I'm going to take it. Now, I will say that she has been getting a fair amount of coverage, but I think that it should be a bigger topic about how she's really changing the game even more so.
Yeah, she's got a chance to get Pete Maravich, too, which is 3,667 points. So she's got a chance to set the all-time college basketball record.
And if you haven't watched, and I confess, I watch the highlights. I don't watch Iowa games on a regular basis. But she's hitting Steph Curry threes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? She's not just posting up and she's not shooting from the line. She is shooting 35-footers, and they're going in.
It's unbelievable. And I enjoy watching her, and the places that she goes, wherever they go, the venue is packed. So it's a good thing for college basketball, not just women's, but all college basketball.
I'm going to take it for that, too. Just also, I don't know if you have seen at some of the games, there's always opponents who are trying to get under her skin, and she never gets shaken.
No.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's fun to watch. All right, Matthew is already smiling about the text line. What do you got for us, sir?
Take it or leave it. This Super Bowl will be the most watched by a wide margin.
Okay, last year was the most watched with 115 million viewers. I'm going to take it.
It breaks 120.
I would say, yeah, I'm going to take that too.
I'm going to take it.
I'm going to take it, but why elevate? I guess one of the things that was interesting from Roger Goodell, he said in the final month of the season, 70% of the games came down to the final possession. It's the best television you can watch.
Yeah, it's reality TV at its finest.
Yep.
Almost perfectly scripted.
Brooke.
Oh, sorry.
I think
We're not supposed to talk about that, are we?
I think league parity is probably the least talked about thing when we talk about the explosion of the NFL across the last 20 years, about why it's been so good. Is league parity has been pretty incredible when you compare it to the other sports. Take it or leave it. Whether by expansion or relocation, the NFL will eventually return to St. Louis.
It might, but not in my lifetime.
Not mine.
Okay, so let's assume that I live for 30 more years. It's not going to be around in my lifetime.
In my personal opinion, once the lawsuit happened and it was settled in St. Louis 1, I knew that would spell the end of the NFL possibly returning here. I don't think that it could be completely out of the question, but you know how the NFL is. They definitely hold a grudge. Doesn't that seem like that would make it hard for them to want to come back here?
It would. And let's be realistic here, okay? And we all love our community, right? We love it. But if you're the NFL and you look at a region with diminishing population, you look at a place that you don't know who to negotiate with because you've got the city and the county, you've got financial issues that both are dealing with, and you've got cities that they've literally passed us by. Why would you come to St. Louis?
Fortune 500 companies have left. That would be a problem from the corporate standpoint. If you took away the lawsuit and the $700 billion that the city got from the NFL, it would make sense to be here because of the television market and the ratings. But that doesn't matter because there's burned bridges along the way. Take it or leave it. Randy is going to live well beyond the 30 years that he just threw out there. I'm going to take that, Randy. You keep yourself in great shape. Don't say that. You're going to live a long time, man.
I don't know, Dan.
I think so.
We'll see.
So you're leaving it and I'm taking it.
Yeah. Well, COVID's on the rise again.
Stop. He does this every once in a while where he'll be like, well, I won't be around for that. I'm like, don't say that. Don't say that. Please don't.
All right, Matthew, what do you got?
This is great. And the NFL is a copycat league. So is the entertainment business. Take it or leave it. Agents and or artists will steal the playbook from Taylor and actively manufacture relationships for publicity. You're telling me they haven't been doing that?
I'm going to take it, but there's only one biggest star on the globe. So anything aside from Taylor Swift is going to be a step down, right?
Oh, for sure. I'm trying to think. That's a great question. I was trying to think, like, who is the next in the rung of great stars right now that and they might be at the Super Bowl, but how many times would you see them shown in the game? One time. One time. Yeah. Now, that's because of her relationship with Travis Kelce, but I don't know. I don't know who that next person is.
Beyonce?
But she's got Jay-Z.
There you go.
Yeah.
She's married.
Jay-Z.
Meg Thee Stallion.
Oh, I don't know if she's there yet, but she is very popular. She's currently popular, but she hasn't reached that mecca of Taylor Swift and Beyonce.
Yes, but Beyonce's got Jay-Z, and I'm trying to think who's. There's no one in those tiers. You got to drop below another tier. There's not another person in those tiers.
Yeah, this is kind of a
one-off. I'll ponder this.
There's not an actress right now. I don't think there's another person in entertainment that can match the Taylor Swift effect. She sold out 66 NFL stadiums, 66 shows at NFL stadiums, 80,000 seat stadiums during the summer.
And worth over $1 billion from concerts and what she's done.
Okay.
I mean, that's a lot.
If you think about billionaires, then I guess one of the Kardashian Jenners, if they entered back into the sports
been there, done that.
sphere,
like
that, again, it's not a novelty.
No, it's not.
Now my search history is going to be so weird because I'm Googling single actresses, single musicians.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing.
Who was it that... Who did Kim Kardashian most it was Pete Davidson. But she has no qualms. She's in her 40s, right?
Yeah.
But she has no qualms about finding a 22, 23-year-old guy and an athlete and dating.
Here's why this comparison just won't ever work is because it took 60 years for it to ever hit the level of Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn. And so so that's the comparison. And it took people have been texting about Romo and Jessica Simpson. That's not even a blip on the radar compared to what we're getting right now with Travis and Taylor. It's not comparable. It took 60 years for it to happen.
No, Jeter and Mariah Carey was probably the last one, right? But Jeter was the superstar there.
Well, Jeter dated about every single big actress, singer that you could think of.
He's got a resume, man. His LinkedIn page is unbelievable. Because he was LinkedIn, baby.
Oh, man.
The best all-time story before we...
oh, no.
Did I tell you this one? I told you the Rick Riley. I've told it a million times. It's great. Rick Riley of Sports Illustrated asked Jeter if he can go through his fan mail. And Jeter says, yeah, no problem. Because he's got a whole couple of lockers in Yankee Stadium full of fan mail. And so Riley opens one up. He's going through, and he's gone through 100, and he gets to one where it's got perfume, and it's got a picture of a beautiful woman, and it says, "Derek, call me," with the heart and everything, and it smells great. And it's, as it turns out, it's Miss Universe. And Riley goes over to Jeter and says, "Hey, Derek, you got to see this." What is it, man? Looks at it, hands it back to him, and Rick Riley says, "Derek, Miss Jeter wants to, or Miss Universe wants to date you. She's giving you her phone number. You've got to call her." And Jeter, deadpan, "Dude, I've been down that Miss Universe road before, and I'm not going back." How many people can say that?
Not many, if any.
No, not at all. Thank you very much for your text. We do appreciate them. Coming up, should the Cardinals pursue Jordan Montgomery again? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're throwing a big game party for family and or friends, you need to start at Schnucks. And before you go, download the Schnucks Rewards app. But when you go to Schnucks, you're going to be able to find cookie cakes for both teams. Cookie cakes are very, very important come playoff time, and especially big game time. And the best cookie cakes in the world are at the Schnucks Bakery at Schnucks. Then stop by that seafood department and pick up some of their delectable shrimp cocktail. You know what you can't go wrong with? If you're going to have a great big game meal, how about getting a Kansas City strip steak from the butcher at Schnucks? Absolutely magnificent. And then get everything else you need, whether you're going to maybe make some nachos and have some of that fantastic Schnucks cheese and the Mission taco chips that they have there, and the delicious Schnucks ice cream. Everything that you get there for your party is going to be fantastic. You will love it at Schnucks. And download the Schnucks Rewards app before you go. If you haven't already entered, you get 2% back on everything that you spend when you go to Schnucks. As you plan your big game party for Sunday, start it and end it at Schnucks.